because they are responsible for bringing their children into the world. I make sacrifices for them because I want the best for my children to make them better people. I'll do anything to satisfy my children with their needs by saving up money to get what they want.
Wow, it seems like you maintain the same methods for all of your children, allowing them to depend on you for basic wants and needs until adulthood. That's quite an admirable approach to raising kids, giving them the knowledge and opportunities they need to be successful in the real world. We appreciate your call. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, you too.
Wow, all these call-ins and interviews, they remind me of some time when I was talking to my dad.
Really? Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, basically, he said that parenting is a privilege that an individual should be honored to have as long as they are fulfilling their role and keeping their responsibilities.
What did he mean by that? What kind of responsibilities was he referring to?
Well, as a parent, he had many responsibilities, but most importantly, the ones to him were caring for his son, making sure that, he was healthy, which is always the first priority, making sure that I understood good versus bad, and giving me his full support.
Was there anything else relevant from your conversation?
Hands down, he said that it is a parent's job to care for their child.
I think that's something we can all agree with. Alright, we'll be getting back to you with our second guest, Paul Hellstrom, after this quick music break.
Alright, welcome back to KWCX Radio and our discussion on parenting. We've got Paul Hellstrom with us. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Mr. Hellstrom?
Okay. Well, I'm a 71-year-old grandfather, father, anxiously awaiting some great-grandchildren. I have 3 children. Oldest is my son, who's 49. I have another son, 47, a daughter who's 42. I have 3 grandchildren in my first son's family, which been the most satisfying thing in my life, is seeing those children grow up. Very, very enjoyable. And my other son has 3 boys, and they are extremely satisfying as well. I think his kids are the spice of life. I think everybody should have some.
To what extent do you feel a parent should sacrifice for their children?
Sacrifice is a pretty rough word because it implies suffering, and I don't think anything you do for your children is suffering. Rather, it's a very, very satisfying thing to you and your kids. I don't think anyone should have to suffer for their children.
We have a Miss Debbie Smith on the line who has some questions for Mr. Hellstrom. Do you feel comfortable answering them on the air?
I don't see why not.
Go right on ahead.
Hi, Mr. Hellstrom. Alright, I've got some questions for you. As your children grew older, did you feel that you have sacrificed more, less, or about the same amount for them?
As children grow, you always give them more until they reach their own maturity.
Could you please elaborate on this?
The older they grow, the more expensive they get, so that you have to give them more, do with less yourself until they reach maturity.
Do you still feel that you hold any responsibilities for your kids resembling those from when they were young?
None whatsoever. Well, you're always there to help your family, extended family included. You're not much of a person if you don't.
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
No, thank you. Alright, so that's all the calls we're taking today. Thank you for coming, Mr. Hellstrom.
I think we all learned something from this discussion. According to our interviews, the children become more independent as both the parents and children age. In some ways, the older children are easier to care for since they are more responsible and independent, but in other ways, they are more difficult by having more unique needs such as high expenses. Being parents of younger children, they tend to give up more material things as compared to how parents of older kids consider more emotional issues and sacrifices upon these aspects. However, attitudes differ greatly from parent to parent.
So that's it for today from KWCX 95.7. And don't forget, make good decisions, don't do drugs, and no dating until college.